In 1963, a man in a small Turkish town was renovating his basement when he noticed his chickens kept disappearing. They would slip through a crack in the wall and never come back. The crack was small, barely wide enough for a bird to pass through. But when the man widened it with a sledgehammer, he did not find a nest or a hollow behind the stone. He found a room, carved and deliberate, a human-made space cut into the rock beneath his house. Behind the room was a passage. Behind the passage were more rooms, and behind those were tunnels that descended into the earth in every direction, connecting chambers, halls, and corridors that no one in the town had known existed. These were tunnels that ran out like the veins of the ground. The man had opened a door into a city, not a ruin, not a collapsed mine. A city with living quarters and kitchens, storage rooms and stables, churches and schools, wine presses and wells, all carved from solid rock, descending 18 stories into the ground. A city designed to hold 20,000 people, sealed from the inside with rolling stone doors weighing half a ton, and connected by a network of ventilation shafts so precise that fresh air reached every level. Its name, which nobody had spoken in decades, was Derinkuyu. In Turkish, it means deep well. The locals had been drawing water from its shafts for generations, lowering their buckets into darkness, never knowing that the wells they depended on passed through the corridors of an underground world. The town of Derinkuyu sits in the Cappadocia region of central Turkey. It is a landscape that looks like it belongs on another planet. Tall, narrow rock formations called fairy chimneys rise from the valleys, shaped over millennia by wind and water erosion. The ground beneath them is made of tuff, a soft volcanic rock formed by the eruptions of ancient volcanoes that once dominated the region. Tuff is easy to carve. A determined person with simple tools can cut into it, shape it, hollow it out. But it is also structurally sound. It holds its shape. It does not collapse under its own weight if the carvings are done carefully and the pillars are placed correctly. This geological accident, soft enough to dig but strong enough to stand, is the reason Cappadocia became the most extensively tunneled landscape on Earth. There are more than 200 known underground settlements in the region. At least 40 of them extend to 2 or more levels. Some are small, no more than a few rooms carved beneath a single house. Others are elaborate, with multiple stories and defensive systems. None of them approach the scale of Derinkuyu. The underground city extends approximately 85 meters below the surface. It contains 8 excavated levels, though researchers believe there may be as many as 18. Only about half of the known complex has been opened to the public. The rest remains unexcavated, sealed behind collapsed passages and unexplored tunnels that may connect to other underground cities in the region. One confirmed tunnel stretches 8 kilometers to the nearby underground city of Kaymakli. Each level of Derinkuyu was designed for a specific function. The upper floors were living quarters. The ceilings are low, the passageways narrow, and the rooms are small by modern standards. But they are unmistakably domestic. Sleeping areas, cooking spaces, and communal rooms cluster around ventilation shafts that draw air from the surface and distribute it downward. The temperature underground stays constant year-round, cool in the scorching Cappadocian summer, warm in the freezing winter. The middle levels held the infrastructure of daily life: storage rooms for grain and oil, stables for livestock, with stone troughs still visible in the walls, wine presses and oil presses carved directly into the rock, a school, meeting halls. On the second level, a large room with a barrel-vaulted ceiling served as a space whose exact purpose is debated, but whose scale suggests it was important, possibly a gathering hall or an administrative center. Between the third and fourth levels sits a cruciform church, its floor plan carved in the shape of a cross, its ceiling arched, its walls smooth. It is reached by a near-vertical staircase, little more than footholds cut into the rock, that drop straight down from the level above. These steep descents are the only means of reaching the lower floors, and they were designed that way deliberately. An invader trying to descend would be forced into single file, moving slowly down footholds he could not see, into a space controlled entirely by the people below. The deepest levels were reserved for storage and containment. Cisterns held water drawn from an underground river that ran beneath the city, its source deep enough that it could not be poisoned from the surface. A dungeon occupied one of the lower chambers. Below everything, the wells that gave the city its name descended further still. The defensive engineering of Derinkuyu is as impressive as its domestic design. There are more than 100 hidden entrances, concealed behind walls, courtyards, caves, and hollowed-out rock formations on the surface. Each entrance could be sealed from the inside using massive circular stones that resemble millstones. They are up to 1.5 meters in diameter and weigh as much as 500 kilograms. The doors were carved with a central hole, not for opening, but for defenders to thrust spears through while the door held. Each floor could be sealed independently from the others. If an enemy breached the upper levels, the inhabitants could retreat deeper and close off each floor behind them. The narrow tunnels forced attackers into single file, where they could be killed one at a time as they entered wider chambers. Dead-end corridors and deliberate labyrinths were designed to trap and disorient invaders. Secret escape routes provided a last option for the city's residents if all other defenses failed. This was not an improvised shelter. It was a military installation disguised as a city, or a city engineered to function as a fortress. Every element, from the ventilation shafts to the water supply to the rolling stone doors, was designed to allow thousands of people to survive underground for weeks or months at a time, completely sealed off from the surface world. The question of who built Derinkuyu has never been definitively answered. The most widely cited theory attributes the initial excavation to the Phrygians, a civilization that dominated central Anatolia around the 8th and 7th centuries before the Common Era. The Phrygians were skilled stoneworkers, and the oldest sections of the city are consistent with their construction techniques. Other scholars have pushed the date further back, suggesting the Hittites may have begun the first tunnels as early as 2000 before the Common Era. What is more certain is that Derinkuyu was not built all at once. It was expanded and modified over thousands of years by successive civilizations, each adding to the work of the last. The Persians, the Romans, and the Byzantines left traces in the rock. The most extensive Christian features, including the cruciform church and associated chapels, date from the 6th to the 10th century, when the city was used as a refuge during the Arab-Byzantine Wars. Cappadocia's Christian population retreated underground during raids, bringing their livestock and food stores with them, and waited until the danger passed. The city was still in use as recently as 1909, when Christian residents of the region sheltered there during periods of persecution. After the population exchange between Greece and Turkey in 1923, the Greek-speaking Christians who had maintained knowledge of the underground network were expelled from the country. They took with them the living memory of Derinkuyu. Within a generation, the city was forgotten. 40 years later, a man's chickens led him back to it. What makes Derinkuyu unsettling is not its size, though the size is staggering. It is the fact that it was invisible. 20,000 people could have lived beneath a town without the surface population knowing they were there. The entrances were hidden. The ventilation shafts were disguised. The wells that served the surface community were shared with the underground city, without either side necessarily being aware of the other. And Derinkuyu is not alone. The Cappadocia region may contain hundreds of underground cities, most of them still unexplored. In 2013, construction workers in the nearby province of Nevşehir accidentally broke into another underground complex that some researchers believe may be even larger than Derinkuyu. Its full extent has not yet been mapped. Only about 10% of Derinkuyu itself has been opened to the public. The rest remains sealed, buried behind collapsed tunnels and unexcavated passages. Archaeologists believe there are entire levels that have never been entered in modern times. What they contain, who last walked through them, and when they were sealed off is unknown. The rock is still there. The rooms are still there. The rolling stone doors still sit in their tracks. The footholds still descend into the dark. Somewhere below the modern town of Derinkuyu, beneath the streets and houses and shops, the lower levels of an ancient city wait in silence, as they have waited for centuries for someone to find their way down. Thanks for watching. If this is the kind of exploration you want to follow, subscribe. There is more to come.